Hello and welcome to Online Presenters of Virtual Toastmasters Club. I'm Sergeant at Arms Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. Would you like to be a guest? This is the place to acquire skills. Guests, please note to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. And if you have not done so already, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. However, if you hover over your video, you can right-click and select Rename. Remember, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording this meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. And now, please help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Marianne Grady. Marianne, welcome.
Well, thank you, thank you. Before we get started, I have a question for Joni. Are we speechathon or not? Okay. So, tonight's meeting, we have a good amount of speakers and a good amount of evaluators, so we are going to have to move and groove tonight through our schedule. And before we get started, I'd like to just share our club mission. Online Presenters is a Toastmasters club who serves those who give online presentations professionally or who aspire to do so, whether that means public webcast, live video, or internal company video, conference, and screen sharing sessions. So if you do those things, then you are in the right place. And I would like to note that we have a member here who sounds like they're getting ready to do all those things. So you might be a good fit for us, Anna. So we're happy you're here tonight. And earlier, Anna mentioned that she came to us at an invite from David, and that is fantastic because we want all of you to spread the word about our club because it is a great place to be. Now, I am going to keep my words short because we have to get to a lot of things tonight. So please put your hands together for our Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Graham Cairns.
Yeah. I've always wondered about putting your hands together. I mean, you got to take them apart as well if you want to clap. Thank you, Madam President, and welcome everybody to this meeting of Online Presenters Toastmasters Club. My name is Graham Cairns. I'm going to be your Toastmaster of the day. I do have one duty I wish to perform before I even get to that, and that is, you may remember last week I ran a Reaching Consensus project where I asked everybody we reached a consensus that we wanted to increase the number of members of this club. We reached a general consensus that we would like to increase the club's membership to 35. And we reached an even more general consensus that we thought 6 to 12 months seemed like a feasible timeframe to do it. In return, I asked everybody to please give me 3 actionable items that they thought could help us toward that goal. Now, I have received responses via email or via WhatsApp from a couple of members. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Jim. I also asked everybody to bring 3 actionable items along to this meeting, but because we have a very busy meeting, I'm not actually going to ask you to outline them tonight. What I would ask you to do is to give me 3 actionable items that we can do to increase our club's membership, write them into a chat and send them via private message to me in the chat. So you've still got the whole of the meeting to do this, which we all agreed to do last week, but you've got if you can do it in the private message. I will then collate all of these and present them to the club's executive, of which I am not a member. So the club's executive is not committed to putting any of these things into action, but at least it will give them some ideas. So is everybody up to speed with that? All right, let's get the meeting proper underway, or as proper as a meeting can be when I am running it. I have to tell you, I was the contest Toastmaster for the Eastern Division District 69 humorous speech contest on Sunday, and so I have lots and lots of really bad jokes that I was supposed to use to warm up the audience, and I didn't have to deliver them. If you don't do your job tonight, I will deliver them to you instead. So just be warned. I note that we don't have any inductions of new members at this meeting, and we also don't have the tip of the day. For our guests, one of the things that this club does quite regularly is present a tip of the day, a 3 to 5 minute presentation on, normally it's on an aspect of using this environment to present effectively. Sometimes it's a leadership tip, sometimes it's a specific technical tip, but we don't have one of those today. But I think it's a really good idea, and one of the suggestions I got made was how to facilitate that. So no tip of the day, but thank you anyway. Let's introduce a few of my the people who have ancillary roles. That's the word I'm trying to find. People who will make this meeting go much better than it would if I were to rabbit on for the next 75 minutes. One of the things that would stop me from doing that would be the timekeeper, who is going to tell us how we will have an indication of times during this meeting. Hello, Alison, our timekeeper.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. So I will be your timer today, and once the speakers and evaluators start, I will raise my hand so that I show up at the top, should be the top left-hand corner, and then I will be using different backgrounds that I acquired off of some Toastmasters sites. Green when you're in the green, yellow, and then red when you reach the allotted time. So I will be using colored backgrounds for the timer cards today. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Back to you.
Thank you, Alison. Now, if you go down to the where is it, under chat? Basically, no, it's under React. If you go to the React and use the hands up, raise hand, there you go, you automatically appear in the top left-hand corner no matter what else happens. I mean, if somebody else puts their hand up, they could also appear in the top left-hand corner, but you will always stay up there. That's a tip of the day for those of you who didn't know you could do that. I've had a couple of R's and ums already, so fortunately they don't count yet, but now he begins counting. Here he is, Andrei Smolenko, our Wizard of R's.
Hello, Graham. I'm Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Hello, online presenters, guests. I'm Andre, and I'm your and so on crutch word counter. Graham, by the way, I already started counting using the word but already quite a few times. So my job is to try to help us to use crunch words not as often as we normally do, and I will be keeping track of all those words that distract viewers' attention from our speech, from what we do. I will report back at the end of the meeting. Hopefully, it will be some use for it. Back to you, Graham.
Gravy and beauty, Andre, thank you very much for that, and I will try to acquire fewer buts to sprinkle throughout my presentation tonight. Talking of acquire, that being the word of the day, leads me into the grammarian's role, and here is Joni Laidlaw.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. So I'm going to ask everybody to do me a favor, and the emoji that celebrates, just so that your grammarian doesn't miss it. Whenever you hear anyone acquire the use of our word of the day today, acquire, just go right ahead and hit that celebration emoji so we all know, yay, it was done. Now, our word of the day is acquire, to learn or develop a skill, a habit, or a quality. Another meaning is to buy or obtain an asset or object for oneself. somebody else. It's possible. Now, to use it in a sentence, you must acquire the skills of good communication, or I managed to acquire all the levels in my path this Toastmasters year. No, I didn't do that deliberately because I'm vice president of education and inferring something at all. I'll also look for the use of language. I'll suggest ways that you can improve and make notes of notable phrases. I'll give my report when called upon to do so. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian, and also Speaker too, but we'll get to that later. One of the things that happens in online meetings is there is a chat going off on the side, and it is really easy for the Toastmaster to miss important things that come up in the chat. So we have in this club a chat monitor who not only monitors the chat and reports back on that at the end of the meeting, but also tells me what she's doing. So Tricia, welcome back. We haven't seen you for ages until the last meeting, so you're our chat monitor tonight.
Hi, thank you. You just described it very well. I'm going to be monitoring the chat. I'm going to look for the word of the day. I did put the word of the day and the theme in. Maybe that was the grammarian's job, but there we go. It's available to everybody in writing. So yeah, I'll have some exciting, hopefully some exciting topics. I've already started making a list. So happy to see everybody.
Fabulous. Thank you, Tricia. Now, Andy, Andre, when you were speaking before about your role as arm counter, did you also mention that you were going to be our watcher?
Absolutely, yes, Graham. I thought you would never ask. Water, it's another unique role for our club. And my role as a watcher is just to pay particular attention to how we use this little screen. Now, probably you can see my hands already disappearing, but I will be watching carefully everyone that I could see during the meeting in this digital screen. And if anything can be improved or not, I will report back at the end of the meeting as well. Back to you, Graham.
Excellent. David, you are our vote counter tonight. Will you be using the handy dandy little vote countery thing if we've got the Toastmost app, or will you be putting a link into the chat?
I will be encouraging those who have the handy dandy Toastmost app to use the Toastmost app to vote, but we will also have a link shared in the chat for whoever finds that more convenient, and guests are also welcome to vote. So for anything to vote on, we will use a digital tool, at least as an option.
Excellent. Thank you, David. And we will be voting for the best speaker, the best evaluator, and the best table topic. And as David mentioned, guests are most welcome to vote. This is how we acquire the absolute maximum number of votes for the best speaker, evaluator, and table topics presenter. One of the problems with running through all of the ancillary roles is that it does take up a few minutes, but I think it's important that we all know what we're doing. So we are now running a little behind, but we'll get there because now we are getting to the formal part of the meeting, the prepared presentation part of the meeting. There are three parts of a Toastmasters meeting, of course. There are the prepared speeches, which we're about to hear, the impromptu speaking, which is table topics, and then the evaluations. I'll describe each of those as we get to them, but our first speaker tonight is David Carr. David is speaking from the dynamic leadership path. He's doing level 1, mastering fundamentals. This is the Write a Speech with Purpose project. And as the founding president of Online Presenters, DTM David Carr wants to make this club a home for digital innovation and often prevails on club members to try new web software. More recently, a mobile app, which we were just discussing, for organising and running Toastmasters meetings. He'll also share details on a new initiative to make the user interface available in languages other than English. Now, for this presentation, he has asked for 8 to 10 minutes. So, Madam Timekeeper, if we can have indications at 8, 9, and 10 minutes, please welcome with his speech entitled The Toastmost Mobile App. Here's David Carr.
Thank you, Graham. So since we started this club in 2017, I've been interacting with other club members. They think they're members of a Toastmasters club, and I think they're all beta users of my software. And so it does take some patience on behalf of the club to put up with me, and I thank you all for that. But the Toastmost app, it's a continuation of what I've been doing for a number of years. I started very shortly after I became active in Toastmasters leadership back around 2010, 2011, in trying to find better ways of digital operations for the club. Moving clubs towards WordPress as a more flexible way of presenting the marketing messages of the club, but also trying to provide agenda tools that would be productive, would help the club be productive in different ways, of automating things that can be automated so that they happen a little bit more automatically. And things that can't be automated, well, a lot of things that happen in a Toastmasters club can't be automated because we're trying to get people to take action, but we could try and make it more convenient for them to take action. In providing an app that they can use to do that is one of the ways that we have to work with. And actually, somebody who was talking to me about the Toastmasters project or the WordPress for Toastmasters project, use kind of confused branding for it, said it would be neat if there was an app. And I said, that's great. I don't know how to create an app. But recently I have been learning. And so I've been writing a lot of code, some of which you see behind me. I'm using a framework that allows me to use some of my web development skills or kind of a tweaked version of them to create apps for iOS and Android. And there are now apps available in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store for Android phones that you can download to your phone. And I encourage you to acquire them, to acquire the skill of using them, and hopefully to acquire some love for them. I mean, I myself don't always love new technologies. I am attempting recently to learn to love the new Pathways Basecamp software, which got a revamp a few months ago, addressed a lot of things that people had been complaining about for a while. And it's taken me until maybe the last couple of weeks to actually open it up and look at it and begin to explore it and try and be more serious about doing pathways-based projects. But the mobile app is something that you can actually use to make your club members, make it easier for them to sign up for their next speech, and also to plug in those speaking details. So what you see, let's see, it's over there. Yes. What you see next to me is the app running in an Android emulator. The iPhone version of it looks very similar. And I have it set up right now to allow me to connect to either the online presenters site or the Club Awesome website, which is my home club in Coral Springs, Florida. And so if I want to go to Club Awesome instead, it should reload after a moment and I'll see what's going on with that club today. And also because I'm a member of several different Toastmasters clubs that are hosted on the Toastmasters platform, I can actually just click once here to add this. But I'm going to show you basically how you would get started with this, because I've encouraged a lot of people, even who don't necessarily have an account on one of the websites that uses the Toastmasters service, to set this up using the demo account. So I can say that I am David at Card Communications. Do I know my own email address? Yes, I think I do. And I'll say request by email. So it says it's going to send me a code. And I am going to switch over to my Gmail. So the email I get will look something like this. And it's going to say, click this magic link. Well, the magic link is a link that takes me not to a website, but it takes me directly into the app. And that's some terminology. I think Slack promoted the idea of the magic link as a way of getting things started more quickly and getting people to collaborate. So I click the magic link and it will open up the app, and it should actually add demo.toastmasters.org is one of the sites that I can now choose. So I'll switch over there so that I don't do too much damage to the online presenters agenda. Let me switch over to the demo site. And Teddy Roosevelt's going to be the Toastmaster of the day. I'm actually already signed up to speak. But I can take any of these other roles by clicking the plus sign next to the role. And when I click on that for a speech, it does prompt me to pick my path, my level, and my project. And I can enter a title for that. I can then add a short speech introduction for the Toastmaster to have available to him. So, and when I save all that, if I go and look, oh boy, I was back in online presenters for some reason for a moment there. If I go and look at the agenda, I should see that David Carr is now set up to speak here. That's showing Club Awesome. All right. Some of this is not working quite as well and as smoothly as I want it to, but most of the time this works pretty well, and I have signed up for a number of speeches and other roles through the app, and I would encourage you to do that too. There is also the function that we also have on the website where you can send out an email version of the agenda, and everybody gets a copy of that include these little one-click sign-up links. Again, trying to reduce the friction, make it easy for people to do the right thing and sign up for a role, help us fill up that agenda. Now, one other thing that I wanted to show you is that there is now a language preference option here. And if I change this to French, and I'm going to go back to my home page, we can see it's now hello. There we go. Amateur de soirée. Well, I have no idea how to pronounce that really in French. But the reason that this is in here is that one of the people who saw my efforts to promote the app and get people to try it is a fellow named Alexander Mate, who was #2 in the world champion of public speaking the other day. And he said, wow, game changer to be able to do all this stuff from your phones. And his immediate next question is, are you working on other languages? Because he's from the French-speaking region of Canada. And some of his folks would appreciate more translation of the content. So that is something that I am currently working on, making more complete. Okay, keeps toggling back and forth between the two languages. But WordPress actually includes a lot of facilities for translation because it is software that is used all over the world. There is a WordPress translation project that I participated in, and a few years ago, we had a club in France using the Toastmos software that was interested in contributing some translations. So some of that is available in the software today. I'm trying to get other people to participate in that. So if there is a language that is near and dear to your heart, whatever language people step forward to volunteer translations of words and phrases for, that is the next one that will become available, and we're going to work on rounding out the French version of that too. All of this is goal of making sure that this is the most useful it can be for the most clubs. Mr. Toastmaster.
Hotlo, David Carr. Hotlo, which is thank you in Klingon. I'm not sure whether you thought about putting a Klingon in there, but never mind. All right. Thank you, David. Let's move on now to our second speaker for today. And this is Joni Laidlaw. Now, Joni is speaking from... It's redrawing my screen. Joni is speaking from the presentation mastery path. She is doing level 1, Mastering Fundamentals. This is the evaluation and feedback project where Joni has to give a speech, gets evaluated, gives the same speech or a variant on, and gets a second evaluation, then has to provide an evaluation herself. I've seen her give evaluations, so I know she knows how to do this. But her first speech tonight is going to be for a time of 5 to 7 minutes. Please welcome Joni Renee Laidlaw with Different Shoes. Joni.
There was a nurse in hospice care. She was speaking with her matron, supervisor, basically, and she was having a very hard time. Things were not going right at home, so it was affecting her being able to get to work and what she had to do. She was standing outside of the door of a patient when she was explaining to the matron why she wasn't able to get to work on time. The matron, thinking that she was being helpful, looked at the nurse and said, "You need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps." In the room, the heart monitor started to flutter on the patient. Before the nurse even had the time to fully digest what was said, she had to rush into her patient's room to find out what was wrong. Now, this patient, he was a miner. He had spent his entire life down in the coal mines. She rushed over to him and she said, "Are you okay?" Because the monitors were fluttering, but he looked fairly normal, just a bit upset. He looked at her and said, "I've spent my entire life in the coal mines, and I hate that phrase." Now, the nurse was really perturbed because she couldn't understand. What phrase? He said, "Do you have a minute? Have a seat." Now, with all of the feelings and emotions, the being late, the just being called out, she decided, "I'll sit, I'll take the minute." So she sat. He looked at her and he said, "I've spent my entire life down in the mines. I've hated whenever people use that phrase, because when we use it in the mines, what we mean is, well, let me put it this way. When a miner gets stuck, the way we pull them out of the mines is by their bootstraps. When you say to a miner, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it's an easier way to say, there's nothing we can do to help you." The nurse sat there absorbing her feelings because that's how she felt when she was told that. Now, the matron thought that she was being encouraging. She was telling her something that was socially acceptable as a term to mean you should put in the effort to pull yourself up. That nurse, though, in herself, hearing those words, felt abandoned, basically left to die. It was weird that it took a miner, where the phrase originated from, to validate that nurse's feelings, that basically, you don't matter. We can't help you. Because when a miner says it, knowing the context of what is meant, they're saying, we've exhausted everything we could do. We wish there was more. And the only thing left is a miracle. But to somebody who had never worked in the mines, who had never been there and probably picked up the phrase because of social conditioning and just acquired it over time because phrases become common when overused, it comes off as very disingenuous. Has anybody ever said anything to you before and you've wondered, do they really mean what they're saying, or is there some kind of social connotation attached? Now, as an international club, I can tell you that if I ask, there are a number of phrases, and I might actually shout for one or two, that what they mean isn't actually either the full context or what it says. I'll give you an example. Blood is thicker than water. Now, when we say blood is thicker than water, we mean that family matters more than chosen family. But the entire phrase is the blood of the covenant is actually stronger than the water of the womb, which means opposite to what was said. Now, I know that there are a few, and I'm going to ask you to drop them in the chat, where the context of where it comes from and what we use it for actually don't correlate and they don't matter. Now, I know everybody's here wondering, what's the point? What do I want us to acquire from this harrowing, heartbreaking tale? We all wear different shoes. Everyone wears different shoes. I've always thought about empathy when people say, put yourself in the shoes of others. But this is the thing. If we all wear different styles and sizes, what will fit me might not actually ever fit you. And you might like stilettos, and I'm a flip-flops kind of girl. After all, it is tropical here, and I am all about that free your toes kind of life. We all wear different shoes. We all come from different places, and context matters. That's always and inevitably going to be important whenever we interact with each other. It also means that it's important to understand that things you take for granted as a social norm might actually not be the same for someone else. Learn the context of your empathy, because what's doable for you or what you believe is possible for you based on your circumstances might not be for others, because we all wear different shoes. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day.
Joni, thank you for that thought-provoking presentation. I won't say any more because that's up to the evaluator, but thank you for giving us that. Our third speaker tonight is Asil Bojan. Now, Asil is coming from the engaging humour path, and she's doing a level 3 project. This is the increasing knowledge part of engaging humour, where she has to use effective body language. Going to be interesting to see that on an online presentation. So with her presentation entitled Recalculating, again for you, Asil. Thank you very much, Asil, for that presentation. I have to say, I'm thinking that I'm going to reprogram my GPS to have Bonnie Tyler's voice, because it's always telling me to turn around. Sorry, bad jokes aren't me. All right. Can I ask the timekeeper for the timing of all 3 speeches this evening? Did they all meet their assigned times?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, they all did. They were all within time.
In that case, all 3 are eligible for the Best Speaker Award for the evening. Keep an eye on your chat, because David will no doubt put a link into the chat where you can vote. But also, of course, don't forget to use your handy-dandy Toastmasters app if you've already signed up for it, because you can vote there as well. But anyway, vote for the Best Speaker of the evening. Time now to move on to the second part of the meeting, and that is the impromptu speaking. We've had 3 prepared presentations. Now we get a chance for some impromptu speaking. And the Toastmaster who is presenting our table topics tonight is our newest member, Joe. Joe, it's all yours. Can you wrap up by, I don't know, probably 20 to the hour at the very latest? That'll allow time for evaluations and everything else. So,
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As the topic master of the night, my job is to preside over the table topics portion of the club meeting. Table topics help members practice impromptu thinking and speaking, and really provide members and willing guests with an opportunity to speak during the meeting. So during table topics, and this is for our guests, I will give each participant a prompt, and subsequently the speaker will be given 1 to 2 minutes to do an impromptu speech. So that's really it. In terms of the theme for the session today, I want to do something about New Year resolutions. And the reason is I can't really believe that it's already the end of March. It really felt like yesterday when we were celebrating New Year's and we were watching the ball dropped on in Times Square. And I think one of the things that many of us like to do during New Year's, which is a very positive thing, is to set New Year resolutions, whether it's to lose weight, right, pursue a new promotion, get into a new relationship, or take on some other new challenges. The New Year's always just seems like a good time, to set some goals for ourselves. So with the second quarter of the year almost upon us, I feel like it's really good to just talk about them and see how folks are doing. So that's going to be kind of the theme of the session tonight. And my first question is, what is a New Year resolution that you have succeeded in pursuing? And if not, what have kept you from achieving it? And I think for this first question, let's try our guest. Anna, do you feel comfortable answering this question?
Sure.
Great.
Sure, I would do that.
Please go ahead.
Thank you for the question. Oh, thank you for that question. It's difficult to say what is the maybe only resolution that I've ever kept, because I always break them. And a few years ago, I decided that I wasn't going to make any more New Year's resolutions because they always get broken. How many times have I joined a gym in January? How many times have I started a diet right after Christmas? How many times have I said, I'm going to do this, and then it's a big fat fail? So that is why I have totally given up on New Year's resolutions. I no longer even worry about it. I don't even think about it because there's always new challenges coming up. In fact, I can think of a lot of challenges that I have faced for this year already, and I don't have to worry about not winning that battle or being successful. So that is my way of dealing with New Year's resolutions. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Anna, and I absolutely love it. If I can count the number of people that show up on the first day of the year at the gym, I think I would probably lose count. So I love that. I love that thought. Moving on to the next question. Again, just sticking with the theme of New Year resolutions. What is one New Year's resolution that you have pursued that seems hilarious or ridiculous in hindsight? And I think for this question, let's go to Victoria. Are you comfortable answering this question? Victoria, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Table Topic Master. What New Year resolution I find hilariously wrong or unreasonable when looking back in hindsight? Wow. As the first table topic speaker has said, once I grow up, I found the New Year resolution, I find it very hard for me to stick to it. However, when I was a kid, I like every year I have the New Year resolution for example, when I was in the primary school, I thought, okay, let me hit the goal. Let me hit my educational goal. I need to attend this contest or that contest. I need to be performing well. And I remember when I was in the last year of my primary school, I attended the contest in China. We call it like a math contest. I want to be the best. However, in the exam, I got the lowest score, 9 out of 100. And that's nearly unbelievable for myself. But it's a tough lesson. It told me there's something, there's some limit in a specific time frame I can pursue. In hindsight, when I look it back, it means that the resources are limited. Like if there are some limit condition, how much where you want to pursue, how much where you want to allocate, you're gonna need to be focused on one or two aspects. If you want to win on every aspect, it's really tough, and it's really like nearly impossible. And that's one lesson I got to learn in my young when I'm for my younger self, learning to pursue the New Year resolution. Back to the table topic master.
Thank you, Victoria. Nothing like adding the additional pressure of having to achieve something by a certain time to the already momentous task of trying to bulk up your academic curriculum. So I can definitely appreciate that, and I'm glad that you were able to get over it. That's fantastic. Now, moving on to the next question, and understand kind of sometimes the ridiculous and hilarious nature of New Year's resolution. Sometimes, though, things could be things could end up being a little bit positive for us. So here's a question, which is, what is one New Year resolution that you have pursued that have actually changed your life for the better? And I think for this one, let's go to Andre. Are you comfortable answering this one?
Well, thank you very much, Joe, Mr. Table Topics Master. I'm not comfortable answering this question. However, I'll give it a go. One of the New Year's resolutions, I've made so many of them over the years. And so when a previous speaker mentioned our guest, then she made one resolution not to make any resolution. I was like, bingo, that was me a couple of years ago. And I had reasonably prosperous year. I really enjoyed it. So no pressure on me, no pressure on my family members. No one is watching me. I'm just living my life. And I think I got some good results in my health targets, goals, financial goals, and just overall my personal growth. So when it comes to New Year's resolutions, I try to just have a good laugh with them. I ask my children what they want to do. I ask my friends what's about them. What I commonly notice that most of my friends, for some reason, just make resolution to stop drinking. And it never, ever works. I do like a glass of wine on Friday nights, white wine I would prefer, Californian. At the same time, I can't imagine quitting all the beauty and taste and enjoyment just for the sake of the resolution. When I talk to my friends, we just say, look, just let's take it easy this year and we'll see what happens. So my message to you, Toastmasters, would be, why don't we try? No resolutions, it's a resolution. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Andre. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I guess before I move on, Mr. Toastmaster, do we have time for another question prompt?
We're probably running it fairly close at this point, I think. You could maybe have one more, but I think I'd be more comfortable if we just move on to the general evaluator now.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Then I will pass the mic back to you.
Thank you very much. And that was your first time at doing table topics, was it not?
That is the
Well,
case.
in that case, congratulations. I'll leave the general evaluator to make further comments, but that was really well done. Good,
Thank you.
thoughtful questions that were all able to be answered. Well done. I thank you for that. Time now for us to move on to the third, and I would argue the most important part of Toastmasters. I've been a member of a number of public speaking organizations and have taught public speaking over the years. The one thing that separates Toastmasters from, say, Rostrum or Dale Carnegie or any of the other organizations is the focus on providing evaluation by your peers, because as we deliver evaluations, we not only assist the speakers, but we assist ourselves by having to analyze what makes or breaks a good presentation. And so that's why I always argue that evaluation is the cornerstone of the Toastmasters experience and what makes this organization so worthwhile. To present the general evaluation and to hear from all of the functionaries and etc. after the evaluations of the speeches, will you please make welcome our general evaluator for this evening. Here she is, Marianne Grady.
Why, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Now, today, I agree with Graham, because one of the things about the general evaluation section of the meeting is that this is where we acquire a lot of our skills and our advice that we employ in the future. So when we listen, we don't learn only when we're evaluated, we learn as everyone is evaluated. And I have learned some of the most amazing things by listening to an evaluation for somebody else. So always tune in, because you never know what you might hear. So tonight, our first evaluator will be Carrie Kong, and she will be evaluating David Carr's speech. Please welcome Carrie to the virtual podium.
Thank you so much, Marianne. David, I'll give you one word for my evaluation to you tonight is pitch. Such a pitch. P-I-T-C-H. So P, purposeful. Your speech perfectly positions the app's purpose, definitely giving us the setting of the stage, why we need to use the app. You also gave us the scenario of like why people are struggling with their like nowadays using the Toastmaster platforms and why is the reason that we need to use the app. I, informative. Your demonstration was wonderful. It was also insightful because you just put it on our right-hand side. It doesn't cover your face. So I'm so glad that I see it really clearly. So through like adjusting the positions and also changing and letting us to show and the real life demonstration, it was super clear what you were talking about. The message was informative. T, tactical, especially on your call to action. You know, at the end, you're calling us, please use the app. I put a lot of effort in this app. So it was definitely a very tactical and targeted takeaway and encouraging all the audience to test the app themselves, including myself. And right now, I just see Anna was using it. So definitely it was a tactical call to action. Something I would suggest you to do a little bit better is C, casual, but could be clearer. While you were really charismatic, because you use a lot of like conversation, spontaneous words, the little ums and so, oh boy, maybe a little bit too much in some sense. So if you can reduce those filler words and help us to focus on your speech, it definitely be an elevation to your speech. And last but not least, H to you, high impact. I thought your speech was really high impact because the way that you're reinventing the app. And last but not least, I really want you to elevate your speech, but at the same time, it was a really good speech because congratulations, you've done the renovation of the app and everything, and we're really looking forward to using the app. So back to you, Marianne.
Well, that was certainly a fun evaluation. Thank you very much, Carrie. Our next evaluator will be Victoria Lee, and she will be evaluating Joni Laidlaw's speech. Please welcome Victoria.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Joni has shared with us a very thought-provoking topic, as our Toastmaster of the day has mentioned before. Be mindful of the context when we use some phrases that come natural to us, but may be irrelevant or unkind, interpreted by others with their context. That's a topic that I think that everyone can draw in and be mindful when we speak in Toastmasters Club. And what I particularly like is that besides the topic, the second thing is about the opening. When we look at the opening, Joni used depth into the story immediately. She used the story to hook people's attention and introduce the message. And that's the second part I like it. And the third thing is that Joni is a seasoned Toastmaster. When you listen to her speech, you notice her vocal variety and the facial expression to match the emotions and the pacing to highlight the emotions. That is great part. Now, as an audience to observe, I would like to share a couple of observations for for Joni to consider. Now, first thing is that the topic is so thought-provoking. It will be better to insert the IU questions, like prompt the audience to reflect. Not at like when you see the green card, but better like once you paste the opening stories contest a few moments, and then you insert a question for reflection. For example, I remember that at the beginning you paste like the matron said you need to put yourself up by the bootstraps. This is a perfect chance for you to insert the you questions for asking people to reflect. For example, does this sound familiar to you? Or have you ever been told in that way? Or have you ever been told, put yourself in other people's shoes? Similar kind of questions to prompt people to reflect. So that you do not need to ask a question like say, you may wonder what's the point when you see the green card, because people has been prompted to reflect at earlier. The second thing is that in the story itself, there's a lot of dialogue, and notice that you have using a voice, facial expression to depict the dialogue. That is great. However, because you sit there and the dialogue is back and forth more than 3 times, it would be possibly it could be done better if you can move your positions a little bit to depict the characters, or you phrase the dialogue in a shorter amount of the content, and then in your ending, when you prompt people to think about it, you can use the rhetorical questions to prompt people take actions. On your good speech, back to the table, back to the general evaluator. I saw my time is up.
Well, thank you. That had a lot of very interesting suggestions in that. So wonderful job, Victoria. Thank you. Now, next, our final evaluator of the evening is Mr. Jim Barber, and he will be evaluating Asil. Jim, let's see what you got.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, and Asil. I was so looking forward to evaluating your presentation, Asil, and then you wrote me in a private chat. You asked me to be harsh with you. Asil, that is asking the impossible. I cannot be harsh with you. For one thing, I thought your presentation was great. So I will make some suggestions for you. But before I do that, let me tell you, just to reiterate, the different things that I was so impressed with. Number one, your verbal skills. Your verbal skills are top notch. I want to hire you when I get all kinds of rich. I want to hire you to do my voiceover work for me because you just have such a wonderful voice. You're humorous. This is a discovery. Until you started on the humorous path, We didn't know that you could be funny, but oh my gosh, you have got such a sense of humor and it is blossoming on the humor path. And once again, you showed that this evening or morning or whatever it is. Body language, that was the purpose of this particular speech, to do body language, and you did that. You were demonstrating, as we see there in the picture, you were demonstrating, you were using your body as you were talking about the GPS, you were talking about driving, you were talking about all the different things, and you did well. One suggestion, that leads me to one suggestion, is you can see a little bit in the picture here. Sometimes when you stepped back so that we could see you fully, you got a little bit lower in the frame, and that's just a matter of camera angle. To be a little bit higher in the frame, you could use the frame a little more efficiently. That's all, minor thing, camera thing. The second thing is, and many times you were driving, demonstrating, let's see if I can do it here, demonstrating that you were driving. Unfortunately, you've also done presentations where you were fighting, and your gestures, your body language for driving, holding the steering wheel, is very similar to taking a punch at somebody. It would be nice if you had, and I was looking around for one and I can't find one within reach, but if you had some sort of a circular object that you could use as a pseudo steering wheel so that you could use the steering wheel to show that you were actually driving, that would help us to be able to picture it a little bit better, because this gesture, this body language, got confusing, especially since it's on video and we couldn't really see the rest of you. But again, this was a great presentation. Your verbal skills, as always, were top notch. You're humorous. I love to hear your humorous things. And the only thing that I can say that is harsh for you is I didn't recall you're using the word of the day, acquire, which I just did. So there, that's about as harsh as I can get. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
You are pretty harsh. I love how you use those pictures, though. Wonderful evaluation. Next up, we're going to start to get our reporters here. So our chat monitor, Tricia Smith, let's hear from you.
Hello, I really enjoyed the speeches and everything tonight, by the way. More than I can say was happening in the chat. More of reminders, links for the voting, a couple of comments by a couple of people. Some that I wasn't sure what it was tied to. Joni said Spanish. I'm not sure what that was to. Maybe we can find out more about that. Not really any dialogue that added to the content of our meeting other than word of the day and some basic information. So sorry, everybody was absorbed with listening. So I can say that, right? Because I was one of them. I was definitely listening well tonight. So good meeting there. I can say a lot about the meeting. So thank you. Back to you.
Thanks, Tricia. Next up, let's please call upon our watcher counter, Andres Malenko.
Thank you, Marianne. I know I'm mindful of time. We haven't got much left, so I get straight to the points. As the R counter, I've been counting and paying close attention to the crutch words that, in my view, makes our speech a bit distracting. So we'll start with Jim Barber, evaluator number 3, the word but. Perhaps you could pay a bit more attention to that. Victoria Lee, evaluation 2, no. Well, now, sounded quite a few times. Carrie Kong, evaluation number 1, so. I think it's the one of those souls, perhaps you could use less. Marianne Grady, general evaluator, no crash words. Oh, brilliant, good job. Joe Young, our table topics master. Joe, please pay attention to using word you know. You know, it does sound, it does make you sound really approachable, really common, nice guy. At the same time, you know quite a few times, perhaps you could reduce it. Asil, well. Johnny Laidlaw, speaker 2, that. David Carr, speaker number 1, word and. I found it. However, I would like to praise our Toastmaster of the day, Graham Carnes, when I mentioned that he used perhaps excessively word but, he switched to but anyway. Well done, Graham. Congratulations for that. And back to you, Marianne.
Why, thank you, Andre. Very entertaining. Next up, I will call upon our grammarian, Miss Joni.
I am happy to report that the word of the day was used 10 times. Graham used it thrice. I used it thrice. David did a thrice. We had a thrice thing happening, and Jim threw it in there once, so we could have a grand total of 10. Now, I like doing missed opportunities because I think acquire is a word that can easily be stuck almost anywhere, or we can acquire the utilization of that word really easily. So, Asil, you could have said, I acquired a new voice for your GPS. Anna, you acquire a gym membership. That could have been thrown there. Victoria, acquire the best score when you were doing your table topics. Now, when it came to language, we all spoke really well. And I will say that my favorite, though, was Carrie when she was speaking about pitch, because she started to sing. So she did pitch, pitch, such a pitch. You actually sounded like you were singing. So you brought pitch to life, which was really impactful. Overall, great use of language. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. Now I'm going to give the meeting evaluation. Meeting started on time. It was actually a lot of fun tonight. Graham did a great job as our Toastmaster of the day. Carrie, I loved pitch too. That was such a fun way to do your evaluation, and you know that you put it together on such short notice. Wonderful. That was just terrific. Now, I also liked how positive you were at the end of David's because you went and talked about high impact. And, you know, let's face it, we all want to have high impact when we're giving a talk. So wonderful job. Joe, as a first time table topics master, I have to say you were fabulous. And the one thing I will mention to you, your questions were so great for everybody to talk about and answer, very easy. And a lot of people try and stump people with their questions, but that's not what it's designed for. It's designed to encourage you to answer and talk off the top of your head. So one thing I would say, please don't do is don't ask people if they're comfortable doing it, because they're not. Who's comfortable doing table topics? No one. So don't do that. Really, it's part of the game. We do it so that people get more comfortable, but no one is really comfortable when you do that.
Well,
I mean,
maybe
even
an exception for guests, though, because
yes, I agree with that.
yeah.
For a guest, that would be a different thing. Although today's guest is a Toastmaster, so
Yeah.
really not so much then. But if you have a guest who you're not really sure of their background, then you might ask if they would like to do a table topic, but not if they're comfortable, because we're all about making people uncomfortable. That's what we do here. So that's really all I have tonight. It was a great meeting and a lot of fun. And I will send it back to our vote counter so he can tell us who won today.
I will do that. So, hey. All right. I'm sorry. Just like everybody else, I have trouble finding the right screen sometimes. So here are some of our winners for our table topics. Ta-da! Andrei Smolenko wasn't comfortable, but he won. And these are all by a hair, by the way, except for the people who beat me. Evaluator. Wait a minute. That's not right.
Yeah, I wasn't the evaluator. Thank you, though. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
I will back up in just a second. I didn't change that one, apparently. I will go back to that in just a moment. I believe I do have this in here correctly there. Johnny Renee Laidlaw. Okay, well, so much for the big reveal on screen. Let me go back and just verify who actually won the contest. Oh. And all right. Thus proving that digital things are not always the easiest things. So, evaluator, Jim Barber, by a hair. All right. So, sorry for my malfunctions.
Examundo. Thank you. I'll take us out as Toastmaster before handing back to the president for guest comments. Just a reminder, everybody, and I put a link into or a thing into the chat. I'm after actionable suggestions for improving club membership by 50% over the next 6 to 12 months. Please send them to me either private message or via WhatsApp or via grahamcairns.tm@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for doing a fabulous job tonight and making my job as Toastmaster easy. I want to say I've got a word for the meeting that I would really like to have us to have used, and that's polyptych. A polyptych is like a triptych. A triptych is where you have 3 panels together in an artwork. A polyptych is where you have multiple. And in fact, how many did you say were behind you, Anna? That was 13 or 16 panels behind you. I had to look up the word, and I thought that was delightful.
Yeah, 16 panels.
16 panels. I want to see that mural. I want to see it in real life. I hang control now back to our president for guest comments and to get us out of here. Marianne, all yours.
Okay, just a quick apology to Allison. I did not call for your timers report. And Andre, I thought I did say about Watcher and Ah being combined. So did you want to give a Watcher report?
Just one thing I wanted to ask is Graham already asked our guest Anna about her background. Can you elaborate a bit more about those panels? Just very briefly, please. What is that about?
Did you ask me a question?
Yes, please. About your background. Could you tell us a little bit
Oh,
more
yes.
about
Well, you're talking about my background or the background behind me?
the background behind you?
Oh, okay. That is a mural painted for Art Prize. And Art Prize is the biggest, fantastical event in the history of art because they give away over $500,000 directly to artists for grants and prizes. And it happens in Grand Rapids, Michigan every year. So you can imagine the kind of art that you get to see, and it takes over Grand Rapids, the whole downtown area, for an entire month. People come in from all over the world. Literally, we have artists from over 40 countries in almost every state that come and present their artwork at this event in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Art Prize, that's what it's called. And it is the coolest thing ever. That's a lot of money, and it's at stake. And for all the artists, there's over 1,000 artists that end up exhibiting. And this mural was painted for that. It's 37 feet long, and it's about it's an abstract and a realistic painting combined. I had another person help me create it. We collaborated on the project. She's an abstract painter and I'm a realistic painter, and we collaborated to create this design. It's a scene of West Michigan. It's called Soaring. So it's as if you were looking at an aerial view of West Michigan.
Well,
Thank you.
I love it. It's beautiful. And
Yes.
while we have you here in front of us, what did you think of tonight's meeting?
It was really fun. I was very engaged the whole time. I really enjoyed the speakers. I think everyone it was very well timed. The meeting was very efficient. I really enjoyed it. And I think that I'll have to come back. I'm not sure if it'll conflict too much with my home club meeting, which meets on Monday nights, but we only meet once or twice a month. So possibly this could work out just fine. I'll have to check it out and see if it'll fit into my schedule.
Well, we hope it does. It was a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
Now, Trisha, I believe you're still a guest, right?
Was Trisha rejoined?
It's been a few years. Oh, I've kept up my membership though. I've been current. So whatever that
Okay, well
means.
then I
So
won't
yeah.
make you talk, but what do you think about tonight's meeting?
Oh, it's awesome to see everybody and the new people, and I love the new methods of presenting. Who did that? Carrie. Yeah, I really enjoyed hers. Lots of good information and the app. Yeah, it's good to see everybody. I need to get on the Toastmasters site and see all the changes. I've heard it's been updated, so I'm not sure if everything's
It has.
reciprocated and if I can go from where I was and build upon that, or hopefully I don't have to start all over.
Well, I don't think you have to start all over. I think, we can give you a little help on that. Now, I
Thank
would
you.
like to remind everybody that we will be having club officer elections in May. I sent out during this meeting to all of our members a list of the club officer roles, so you would have them. And for newer members, I sent out meeting roles, just so you'd have an explanation of the meeting roles for your convenience. But we need people to sign up for the different roles and run for, we need, all the roles, the president, the vice president of membership of, we have a treasurer, a secretary, we have a whole bunch of things, but they're all on the list. Take a look at it and let David Carr know if you are interested. If you have any questions, David, myself, or any of the officers can answer them for you. And we'd be happy to have some new blood on the board. So please don't be afraid. It's great learning experience and it's a great way to develop your leadership. So we hope that some of you will take the leadership plunge. Now, that's all I have for you tonight, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Oh, and